Look at you sitting there scrolling through another video, probably clutching a cup of coffee that cost you $6 and wondering why your bank account looks like a crime scene. You want the truth? Most of you are financially illiterate, and it breaks my heart because I've spent decades watching people throw their freedom into a dumpster fire of bad decisions. You know me as Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank, the guy who tells it like it is because nobody else has the guts to do it. I've sat across from thousands of entrepreneurs. I've looked into the eyes of people who poured their life savings into a dream, and I've seen the cold, hard difference between those who build empires and those who end up working for someone else until they're 85 years old. If you're looking for a hug, go call your mother. If you're looking for a way to protect your capital and actually grow it in the year 2026, then listen up, because the world has changed and the old rules are dead. We are entering an era where inflation is a persistent predator, where traditional savings accounts are a joke, and where if you don't have a plan for your money, it will find a way to leave you for someone who respects it more. I built multiple nine-figure businesses from scratch, and I didn't do it by being soft or by following the herd. I did it by understanding the cold, hard mechanics of money. People call me Mr. Wonderful for a reason, not because I'm nice, but because I deliver results. I care about one thing and one thing only: the green, the dividends, the cash flow. Before we dive into the deep end of the pool, do yourself a favor and hit that subscribe button and become a member of this channel. Why? Because the information I'm about to give you is worth more than a master's degree in finance. And I'm giving it to you for free, but only if you have the discipline to pay attention. If you can't even click a button to invest in your own education, then stop the video right now and go back to watching cat videos, because you're never going to be rich. But if you're ready to stop being a victim of the economy and start being a master of your own destiny, then let's get to work. We need to talk about the foundational principles of wealth, because most of you are building your houses on sand. It is 2026, and the distinction between an asset and a liability has never been more critical. An asset puts money in your pocket while you sleep. A liability takes it out. That fancy car you're leasing to impress people you don't even like, that's a liability. That high-interest credit card that you're carrying because you want a new television, that's a financial cancer. Money is a soldier, and your job is to send your soldiers out into the battlefield every single day to capture more soldiers. When you spend money on a liability, you're essentially executing your soldiers. Why would you do that? You need to understand the power of compounding, which is the eighth wonder of the world. If you start with $10,000 and you earn a 10% return, you have $11,000. The next year, you're earning 10% on $11,000, not $10,000. Over 30 years, that small snowball becomes an avalanche. But here's the problem. Most of you don't have the patience. You want the get-rich-quick scheme. You want the crypto coin that's going to go to the moon tomorrow. I've seen those dreams turn into nightmares more times than I can count on the set of Shark Tank. Wealth is built in the boring, consistent, disciplined execution of a plan. It's about opportunity cost. Every time you spend $100 on something you don't need, you're not just losing $100. You're losing the thousands of dollars that $100 could have become over 20 years. You have to live below your means. I don't care if you're making $50,000 a year or $500,000 a year. If you spend more than you make, you are poor. The psychology of money is your greatest enemy. Your brain is hardwired for instant gratification, but the market rewards delayed gratification. In 2026, the safest place for your money isn't under a mattress or in a checking account yielding 0.01%. It's in productive assets that provide a hedge against a devaluing currency. Now, let's get into the core where you should be putting your capital in 2026. People ask me all the time, Mr. Wonderful, where is the safety? The answer is in cash flow. I have a rule. I don't invest in anything that doesn't pay me to own it. This brings us to high-quality, dividend-paying stocks. Specifically, I'm looking at the giants in the infrastructure and essential services sectors. Think about the companies that own the power lines, the water systems, and the data centers that fuel the modern world. In 2026, The demand for electricity is skyrocketing because of the massive expansion of artificial intelligence and electric vehicles. These companies aren't going anywhere. They have what I call a moat. They are protected from competition by the sheer cost of entry. When you buy a share of a Util, ITY company that pays a 4% dividend, you're getting paid to wait for the stock price to go up. If the market goes sideways, you still get your check. If the market goes down, you still get your check. That is the definition of safety. Let's look at the math. If you put $100,000 into a diversified portfolio of these cash cows, and they grow their dividends by 5% a year, while the stock price appreciates by another 5%, you are looking at a total return that crushes inflation. Contrast that with the person who puts their money into a speculative tech startup that has no earnings and no path to profitability. I've seen those entrepreneurs come into the tank with their fancy slide decks and their disruptive ideas. Most of them go to zero. Why would you gamble your hard-earned money on a maybe when you can invest in a definitely? Another pillar of safety in 2026 is institutional-grade real estate, but not in the way you think. I'm not talking about buying a house and trying to be a landlord. Being a landlord is a nightmare. I've done it, and I hated every second of it. Dealing with leaky toilets and tenants who don't pay their rent is not a passive investment. I'm talking about real estate investment trusts or REITs that focus on logistics and medical facilities. As the world shifts more toward e-commerce and an aging population, the warehouses that store goods and the clinics that provide healthcare are the most valuable dirt on the planet. These REITs are required by law to distribute 90% of their taxable income to shareholders. It is a beautiful mechanism for generating income. In 2026, we are seeing a massive shift in global supply chains. Companies are moving their manufacturing closer to home, what we call nearshoring. This means the demand for industrial space in specific corridors is through the roof. If you own the dirt where those warehouses sit, you are in a position of power. This is the kind of data-driven investing that builds real wealth. It's not about guessing. It's about looking at the demographic shifts and the economic realities and positioning yourself in front of the money. Let's talk about the mindset shift you need to survive. We are moving into a global economy where the competition for resources is fierce. You cannot afford to be a passive observer of your own life. You need to be thinking about tax strategies. Taxes are the biggest expense you will ever have. And yet, most people spend more time planning their vacation than they do planning their tax liability. In 2026, you need to be utilizing every legal vehicle available to protect your gains. Whether it's a Roth IRA, a 401k, or more complex structures if you're a business owner. Every dollar you save in taxes is a dollar that can go back to work for you. And let's talk about side income. The era of the single income household is dying. You need to have multiple streams of revenue. Whether it's a side hustle, a small business, or an investment portfolio, you need to diversify your income sources so that if one dries up, you're not left out in the cold. I've always said that if you're not working on your own dream, you're working on someone else's. Take 10% of your time and dedicate it to building something that you own. That is the ultimate safety net. So what is the action plan? What do you do starting tomorrow morning? First, you stop the bleeding. You cut every unnecessary expense. If it doesn't bring you joy or bring you money, get rid of it. Second, you build an emergency fund of at least 6 months of living expenses, but you don't keep it in a standard savings account. You put it in a high-yield money market fund where it's liquid, but at least earning something. Third, you automate your investments. Set up a system where a portion of your paycheck goes directly into a diversified portfolio of low-cost index funds and dividend-paying stocks before you even see the money. This removes the emotion from the process. Fourth, you educate yourself. Read the annual reports of the companies you own. Understand why they make money. If you can't explain the business model to a 10-year-old, you shouldn't own the stock. Finally, you stay the course. The market will be volatile. There will be headlines that tell you the world is ending. Ignore them. Focus on the long term. In 2026, the winners will be those who kept their heads while everyone else was losing theirs. Look at the future. It's bright for those who are prepared. I see a world where technology continues to drive productivity and where the smart investors are the ones who provide the capital for that growth. I want you to be one of those people. I want you to look back 5 years from now and say that this was a moment everything changed for you. But I can't do the work for you. I can give you the map, but you have to walk the path. If you found value in this, if you're ready to take control of your financial life, then I want you to leave a comment below. Tell me, what is the one liability you are going to cut out of your life this week? Be specific. I want to see your commitment. Share this video with someone who needs a wake-up call. Like the video to help spread the message. And if you haven't already, subscribe and join this community of wealth builders. We are here to win, and I want you on the winning team. Now get out there and make some money, because if you don't, nobody's going to do it for you. Would you like me to analyze a specific sector for your 2026 portfolio?